Hello, this is Jack Shannon, President of Christian Brothers University, and I appreciate this opportunity to discuss what's happening here on campus as well as our plans for the upcoming fall semester. This past Monday, another group of our colleagues joined us here on campus so that we could continue preparing the university and campus for the fall semester. I would like to thank all of the individuals who have been so hard at work making sure that we are ready for the fall. They include, most notably, our colleagues from campus facilities, maintenance, grounds, and housekeeping, as well as many others who continue to work remotely but still serve and do the work that's necessary for our campus community to be ready for the fall. Also, would like to continue to thank our donors and alumni for their ongoing support, both financial and otherwise. I'd like to acknowledge the contribution of our senior leadership team, along with the faculty and staff who have been busy this semester over the summer teaching online. I also would like to thank our students and families for your continuing forbearance as we try to work out the optimal solution for our community in the midst of these incredibly challenging times in which we live. I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees with whom I have been meeting on a weekly basis to update them about what is happening, as well as to get their guidance and counsel as we finalize our plans for the fall. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the Christian Brothers who reside here on campus for their ongoing prayers, support, and counsel as well. I'd like to update you about a few things before moving on to our plans for the fall. The first is, as you'll recall from last week, there was a directive that was issued by ICE regarding our international students. There was an action filed by Harvard and MIT contesting that action, which would have precluded the educational opportunity for our international students. CBU signed on to the amicus brief that was submitted, and I'm pleased to tell you that in response to that action, ICE has now rescinded that directive. We are actively working with our international students to make sure that they can safely travel to campus, have any remaining visa issues resolved, and that they can start the fall semester, hopefully here in Memphis. Any international student that might be tuning in today, I would urge you to contact Jessica King, our Director of Academic Services, if you might need any assistance. Last week I announced that we had launched a new website here at CBU, and I'm very excited because that's our virtual front door to not only our prospective students and their families, but to everyone who wants to know more about the work that's happening here in our LaSallian community. We welcome feedback. We've gotten some. We know that there's some links that needed to be fixed, and we're working on those. But overall, I think we've ended up with a very good product, and I want to acknowledge the work of our communications and marketing team and our consultants from research and design, R&D. Next week, we'll be launching a new series of communications, our weekly campus conversation series. The inaugural event will feature myself with a conversation with Amy Ware, our Director of Career Services. We want the campus community, as well as many others, to know about the work that continues to happen through the efforts of Amy and her colleagues, and in service to our students, to our recent alumni, and to our local business community. A few additional items I'd also like to mention. Our Center for Digital Instruction has been doing remarkable work over the course of the summer. They've launched a new series of programs designed to help our faculty develop even greater skills in the delivery of online and remote learning. I'm very pleased that a number of our faculty have taken advantage of these resources to date. I want to thank them for doing so. For those of our faculty who may not have had the opportunity, and I understand it's been a very complex, complicated, and busy time for all of us these days, I encourage you to do so. Being a LaSallian institution, CBU We take pride in the fact that we are teachers, all of us, first and foremost. And in order to be effective teachers, we have to make sure that we continue to develop our skills. And I want to thank Dale Hale and the team at CDI for providing this resource for our faculty so that we can maintain the excellent reputation we have for teaching in the higher education realm. Also would like to tell you about the plans that we have already underway for expanding the amount of space that we have dedicated for our physical and mental health services here on campus. We're doing this as part of an ongoing assessment of our student center, what is there within the student center, what might need to be relocated because it doesn't directly serve the needs of our students, and also what areas need to be either expanded, augmented, or improved. By having this additional space, we'll be able to deliver an exciting new array of services to our students as well as our staff and faculty. And I want to thank Ron Brandon as well as Heather Harrington and Beth Gurrell for the work that they've done on this very important project. Let me now turn to what I'm sure is the reason why many of you have tuned in today, and that's a discussion of our plans for the fall. Our recommendation in the path that we continue to pursue, even though a final decision is yet to be made, is that we are working towards an in-person return to campus. Now that will be a hybrid model of academic instruction. There'll be face-to-face classroom instruction taking place here on campus, augmented by online and remote learning resources. Now we've always done that in recent years, but we're looking at how we can improve the delivery of online and remote learning so that we can provide an even fuller and better educational experience for our students. Now, some of you who tuned in either the past 2 weeks have already heard this, and I apologize, but I think it bears repeating. Why are we pursuing this course of action? Well, first is we think it's the right thing to do for our students. We benefit as a community by being together and by association doing the work that we do. Our students particularly value that community experience. And while we've done our best to try to serve our students remotely, nothing can substitute for having that sense of community that exists here at CBU when all of us are gathered here together. Second, I think it's the right thing for our institution. Now, we do fantastic work in delivering the online and remote courses that we do. But that's not all we do. We are not an online university that only does online instruction. We are something different from that. And the fact is that the experience that our students have here on campus, the opportunity to engage with our faculty, our staff and administrators, and the opportunity to learn and grow from their experiences as part of a diverse student community is the CBU difference. Lastly, we continue to pursue this path because it's the LaSallian thing to do. For over 350 years now, LaSallian educators have taken and worked through difficult circumstances, motivated by one thing, to serve as best they can the students who have been entrusted to their care. We have always done that here at CBU since the First Brothers established CBC back in 1871, and we always will continue to do that same thing. As we continue to build towards that plan, there are a number of near-term action items that I want to recap for you. First is, day in and day out, in fact hour by hour, we continue to monitor campus, local, and statewide COVID-19 situations. The data in recent weeks has not been trending well. It's gotten a little bit better the past couple of days, and we're seeing some gains being made as we all mask up Memphis and making sure that we think not just about ourselves, but about our friends, our families, and neighbors. But the numbers still have to get a little bit better, and we're hoping for that to take place. In the meantime, we continue to consult with local, federal, and state health officials to make sure that whatever course of action we take is the right one. We continue to work with our employees who might need accommodations for health or other reasons about whether they can return to campus. And if not, we are making arrangements so that they can fulfill their duties as best as they can remotely. Once again, even though we have a lot of uncertainty, our guide star is first and foremost our students, and related and along with that, the health and well-being of our community. We continue to collect health insurance information for our students so that we can deliver the best possible services through that expanded health services center I described earlier, but also other means. And we're updating our student contact information so that we can remain in contact with our students through a variety of means, because all of us get our information not just through a cell phone and text messages, but social media and other means. So it's important we have that updated information. We are coordinating testing, tracking, and tracing protocols with Shelby County Health Department. We will have in place, if we do return to campus, all of the procedures and resources to ensure that if, God forbid, one of our students, staff, or faculty were to be diagnosed with COVID-19, we would be able to respond to that individual's needs as well as to ensure the safety and well-being of our campus community. I'm pleased to report that we've secured our own COVID-19 testing resources. So we will have here on campus the ability to administer COVID testing as needed if a student, staff, or faculty member were to exhibit certain symptoms, and then we would be able to quickly diagnose the situation and provide that individual with the care that they require. We also are now finalizing a relationship with a local testing services provider that will give us access to batch or pooled testing resources for COVID-19, which will be important as we move forward with our athletics program, whether it's this fall or maybe this winter or spring, to ensure the health and well-being of those individuals as well as our general campus community. We've, as I mentioned earlier, secured expanded space for our health services center that will be invaluable not just now but in the future. And we also have submitted all of our plans for reopening the campus to the Shelby County Health Department. They have a team of professionals, health, business, logistical, and legal, that are now reviewing those plans and making sure that we have put in place all we can possibly do here at CBU. We continue to have, as I mentioned earlier, ongoing conversations with city, county, and state officials. I'm also in contact with university presidents from across the country to see what they are doing and to learn from what they are doing and applying it here for the benefit of our LaSallian community. Last but not least, and this is a critically important piece of what we will be doing, we are finalizing the CBU Pledge or Compact for all of our LaSallian community members to review, to sign, and abide by should we return to campus for the fall semester. We take pride in the fact that we are a community that thinks not just of ourselves as individuals, but of each other as part of a larger community. Now more than ever, that is an imperative that we continue to live up to those LaSallian principles that we have as a campus community. This pledge and compact will allow us to be clear in what our expectations are of each other, and that we will be holding ourselves up to those standards as we always have as a campus community. Now, I'm sure that many of you have read by this point the decision that was announced last evening by Dr. Marjorie Haas, the president of Rhodes College, that they will not be returning as scheduled in August, at least initially, to face-to-face, in-person instruction on the campus, nor will their residences be occupied at the start of the fall semester. I've had numerous conversations with Dr. Haas, and I consider her a friend, and she's been an invaluable colleague and mentor to me during this first year here in Memphis. She's done what is the right thing for her campus community. She and I have talked about the differences that exist between Rhodes and CBU. And while there are many common qualities between us, there are many very important differences. It was a tough decision for Dr. Haas to make the decision she has made. She's talked to me about that even in the wake of that announcement that she made last evening. I support her in that because she did what was best for her campus community. And I want to assure you that I will continue in consultation with the board and with the input and assistance of my leadership team and many others to do the same for our CBU community. At this point, the path that we are working towards is the same one that our LaSallian colleagues at the 5 other universities here in the United States are pursuing as well. I continue to consult with them and figure out ways that we can, by consultation and collaboration, improve the work we're doing on our individual campuses. We're going to continue to monitor, as I said, and assess the data that we're getting, not just for here in Memphis, but nationally. Circumstances are changing and they're evolving. But I want you to know that we will continue to be on top of this. By next Friday, we will be announcing a final decision as to our plans for the fall semester. In making that decision, we have relied upon and will continue to solicit guidance from many individuals, experts, and sources, both here on campus and beyond the walls here at Central and Parkway. Reality is, as I've shared with you before, there's no optimal choice to be made in regards to the fall semester. There's no easy decision to be made. Whatever decision that is going to be made next week is going to adversely impact, I know, some members of our campus community. I want you to know, though, that whatever decision we do make, it will be based on doing what we believe to be best for our students and our community. For those who may be adversely impacted, we will work with them to ensure that they continue to have the optimal experience, that they continue to be supported as they always have been by our LaSallian community, and that they, perhaps most importantly, remain on a pathway for a timely graduation and the attainment of a CBU degree. I remain thankful for many things, even during this challenging time. I've talked about a number of them at the beginning of this video broadcast. There's one, though, that I want to come back to. I am incredibly thankful for the guidance, support, and prayers of the Christian brothers who reside here on campus. They've been incredible in terms of providing me with a touchstone that I can go back to and ask questions, test ideas, and just, quite frankly, sometimes say, I'm not quite sure I know what I'm doing at this time, and get the support, the guidance, and encouragement that I need. One of those brothers shared with me some words that I would like to now share with you. He said during this time the following: "You will not likely know if your decisions are the right ones, but we can make them the right ones by how we carry them out." Next week, I will have a final decision along with many other details about how we will be proceeding for the fall semester. Whatever decision's made, it will not be exactly the right one, I'm sure. That's just a fact of life right now. But as I said before, it will be a decision based upon the best interest of our students and our campus community. And I trust and hope that I will be able to continue to rely upon the support and assistance of my colleagues here at LaSalle, as well as others who are members of our larger LaSallian community to make the right decision. Together and by association, I'm confident we will find a pathway. It will not be easy for us to do so, but we will make that happen. At this time, I'm going to answer a number of questions that have come up as part of the chat and do our best here. So the first is from one individual who asked, if CBU does return in-person classes, will there still be an increase in online courses for those of us who want to limit our time on campus? The answer is yes. We've used this time since this past spring to really build the number of online courses we have to offer because it's not a substitute for the in-person instruction that we value and have always made part of our hallmark here at CBU, but it complements that. It augments it. It makes it easier for a student to graduate within 4 years by having online resources. So we've continued to not only develop the courses we have, we, as I mentioned earlier, have been working with our faculty to make them even more proficient in teaching online or remotely, but we also are adding courses so that we can provide more choices. Whether we return to campus or not, those choices and options will be in place. Second question, there was a question that about public health officials in Memphis advising Rhodes College, according to a newspaper story, that based on current facts and trends, we should expect campus outbreaks of COVID-19 that would quickly outpace that university's ability to provide an appropriately safe environment for students, faculty, and staff. And the question is, have we been given contradictory information from local health officials? I, first off, cannot speak to what guidance was provided to President Haas and her colleagues at Rhodes. I wasn't privy to those conversations, so it would be, I think, inappropriate for me to speculate on what that guidance may or may not have been. Let me talk to you about, however, the guidance we have received. The guidance is as follows, is that until there is a vaccine, we will have to continually manage a COVID-19 environment. What does that mean? Well, there's some things that all of us can do. Wear a mask. Mayor Strickland is out there. I'm happy to report, along with many others in our campus, in our Memphis community, not only modeling the behavior of wearing a mask, but encouraging others to do so. And now it's mandatory here in Memphis. Secondly, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, maintain safe social distance. That's not a perfect solution, but the CDC has said that if we were to do that and we could get 70% or more participation, we would be able to quickly contain the spread of COVID. When we come back to campus, whether it's this fall, in August, or some later point, we will continue to have a mandatory mask environment here on campus. We will continue to have sanitizing stations. We will have safety protocols that have been put in place over the course of the summer to make sure that we can manage the situation to the very best of our abilities. Part of it is identifying where you might have high-risk populations and having testing resources available for those individuals. I talked about already the steps we have taken in that regard. Another part of it is making sure that you've got a plan that has been reviewed by the appropriate health and other officials and that you're implementing those in whatever way you can. We are doing that as well. I know the individual who asked this question is doing so with the same concern that I have for our campus community. And much as I would like to be able to say, I've gotten assurances from health officials that everything we are doing absolutely eliminates all risk of us having a COVID-19 outbreak on campus, I can't do that. What I can tell you is that we are listening to the advice we're getting from the health professionals. We are adhering to that. We are making the necessary changes in the way we do our work day in and day out. We are making the investment that needs to be made to make this an even safer and healthier campus. And doing all of that, I think, will enable us to be as best protected as we can in this very challenging COVID-19 pandemic environment that we're all facing. Let's see. Any other questions? Question is, in the event we return to campus, how and how often will we be briefed on positive COVID-19 cases on campus? So we will make sure that information is shared as quickly as we can and as transparently as we can, being mindful that we also have to be respectful of our obligation under federal and other law to respect the privacy interest of individuals who may be impacted by COVID. We are continuing to work with Shelby County Health Department to make sure that if, God forbid, we were to have a diagnosed case here on campus, that individual would be quickly quarantined, provided the health care that she or he might require, and at the same time, we could quickly track and trace who they may have had contact with during the necessary and appropriate period for tracking. We're going to help minimize some of the challenges that tracking and tracing might have by having assigned seating in our classrooms. We also are looking at potential limitations on how we are dealing with housing for the fall semester to make sure that we are having the appropriate safeguards in place. We're going to be eliminating some common areas so that we can also maintain safe social distancing. And then you have my assurances we will be tracking and reporting out as others are doing in this area with the guidance of health officials. There's a balance here that we need to strike. We need to make sure that we as a campus community are informed and educated, and at the same time, we need to respect the privacy of our fellow students, faculty, and staff. And last but not least, we need to manage this in a way that works for all of us to address the situation that may arise without causing undue panic or concern. It's easy for us to fall into that. I understand. This is not a time that's been one of certainty for us, but we need to also make sure that, as we've always handled these type of crises in the past, we do so in a level-headed, rational, and science-based manner. Okay, so at this point, I think we don't have any further questions. Once again, I would just like to thank you for tuning in today. We will continue to provide information on our website and via social media. We will have another update next week, same time. We, as I said earlier, expect to have a decision in place, hopefully by that conversation at the very latest by next Friday. And we also will be launching the new Campus Conversation series, so please keep an eye out for that. In closing, I want to thank you once again for your interest in CBU, particularly during this time of challenges for our campus community and our larger world. I thank you for your support, your assistance, and prayers. And in closing, I'll go back to that brother that I mentioned earlier who said to me also that it's a Lasallian tradition that together and by association we will forge a way forward. We may not know today exactly the route that we will be taking, but walking aside each other, we will figure that out as we've always done for the last 149 years. Thank you again for your interest. Thank you for your support. May God bless you. Please continue to stay safe and well, and mask up for yourselves, for your family, for your friends, and for all of us here at CBU.